Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Sweet. When you're ready, I'm ready. Just give me the word,
Yeah.
and then we can stop saying inappropriate shit. I might have to pause halfway just to have a hit of my indica.
Don't worry about it, man. I brought some weed to roll. I'll probably roll as we do it.
Okay.
Give you something to do. You alright with that?
Oh yeah, that's great.
And the information's solid.
Nice, dude. Solid beers. I love the beer.
Information though, DJ.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's me.
Excellent.
Where'd you get that hoodie from? I like that.
My girlfriend bought it.
Oh, did she? Do you know anything about that company?
I know nothing.
No?
I know fuck all. I know she does though.
Cool. I like it. Down with my demons.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
So you don't even know who came up with that shirt and you bought that?
I didn't buy shit, man. She bought it. It was like a birthday present or something.
Oh, that sounds like that has some deep ass meaning behind it or some shit.
I'm sure it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's fucking brand. I mean, like some of the clothes branding, yes, for sure it does. But fuck, man, it is what it is. Okay, are we done swearing?
Yeah, no, you can fucking say what
I'm
you
gonna
want.
fucking swear though. What's up, people?
What's
I
up,
don't even
people?
know what we're looking at, but we're fine.
Nico to fail.
NDF too fit, too quit. What?
What's good, man? By the way, this is the best part of my day right now, just so you know.
Dude, this is solid. I'm enjoying a cup of tea with my boy DJ McKay. This is DJ McKay. Find him on the .coms of the world.
Or not. It don't even matter.
Good, man. Just having a half day work, which I'm not really sure what that means. I guess instead of working from 7 to 6, it was still 7 to 6. So, yeah, just some things in between.
Yeah.
But just looking at building my business a little more, just focusing on growth and trying to build the what they call the American dream.
Yeah. The
but
Canadian dream.
but in Canada, see, North American.
Exactly.
Just so we're all good.
Do you remember? I was gonna start with like. There's so many questions I've always wanted to ask you because I knew you for 5 years now. Maybe is that an estimate?
Yeah. It's been
I remember
5 years. Yeah.
Maybe even 6 or something. But I remember Ben Newman had a boutique style fitness studio.
Yeah.
In East Van.
Yeah.
And I was a personal trainer there, trying to run a personal training business.
Yeah, we all were.
Yeah.
We all were, man. Ben was great.
Yeah.
Ben was great. I'm sure you have him on the podcast, or you will soon.
He doesn't know, but I'm sure he'll oblige. And I remember training there, and then you ended up coming to that studio to train some of your clients that you were training.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember the way that your approach was so. Some people would say off color.
Yeah.
I would say it's like you get like the way that you teach is one thing that you probably don't even know, but sometimes you use very few words.
Yeah.
To
describe
or express something.
Yeah.
And for me, with the way that I work, I feel like I have a really limited short-term memory or something.
Yeah.
Because I only know a few things, right? So it's like in jiu-jitsu when the coach is like, oh yeah, grab the gi, turn it this way, turn sideways, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, like, if you could tell me in 3 words what to do, what would you do? And for you kind of taught in that way that I noticed, at least, like very precise, and you gave people relevancy to why they were doing something.
Yeah, well, I think that's easy. I mean, don't mean to cut you off. I just think it's easiest with anybody, not just anybody or anything that you're training. You want to give somebody something that they have an idea of what to do, so that they can go, oh, I have a concept of what that's like, or I've done that. Throwing a punch or kicking. Who's swung a baseball or a racket or thrown a baseball or thrown a ball, or everything has some sort of relevant time through it. I mean, even running, if you ran and if you were to actually stand on one leg and swing the same way that you would focus on striding, it's almost like a kick, right? That's how you get a soccer ball. So now it's a matter of pivoting the hips, and it's just teaching people from what they already know and then adding a couple tricks of technique and just functionality.
That's funny because on the first podcast, I had my buddy Robbie here, who's an actor, and he grew up playing competitive basketball. and he was explaining footwork.
Yeah.
And I was saying, when you're playing defense against someone in basketball,
Yeah.
or if you're playing tennis and you're trying to get in the right position to get to the ball,
Yeah.
or you're standing sideways like
Same
Wonder
square
Boy
stance.
Thompson,
Yeah.
right?
Man, fuck, you're
Entering and
surfing.
exiting, exactly. It's having precision on where to place your feet, and it's also everything's very broad.
Yeah.
So like, one concept is to train very broadly, and I was very lucky because I played soccer, hockey, baseball, and karate. So I moved a bunch of different ways, and I found similarities in things.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the same thing that you're saying.
Yeah, but that's what allows us to become so adaptable, is finding those similarities to things, right? Like you said, look, your stance in basketball, your stance in tennis, they are very similar when it comes to defending. Like when you're defending a basketball, when you're standing straight on in tennis, you've got that nice wide base. That's for you to move side to side really quick. I mean, if you're a basketball, good base, a little hip hop, move around, a little check, you know.
Sure.
So I mean, all those movements can be relevant to anything that we do. I mean, even us sitting in this chair right now, it's really the squat position if we think about it. And all of us, I know we all sit on a squat of some sort at some time of day, you know. But if you look at when you're translating into exercise, I think, you know, sitting down is one of the easiest things to teach.
Yeah.
But people have a really hard time when it comes to allowing themselves to fall back. Like, you know, we're leaning back in our chairs, but when do we squat, lean back? Lean that far back. But it's at that finding that bend at 90 with the hips, so you're not so far forward on your knees that you're putting pressure on your joints. And, you know, that's why I'm so precise about the things that I teach, is I don't want to injure anyone. I mean, you're doing something so that you could better yourself and get yourself to the next level. So why are we not paying attention to those small details that are going to actually allow you to train longer, gain muscle, and stay out of the doctor's office? And that's where we all want to be. I mean, please go out and do the massage and the therapies that are out there. They're necessary. Don't get me wrong. The same as stretching or yoga, Pilates. Do something. It's great. It's necessary for you. God, use a foam roller. That's something more than anything. But all of these actions are going to keep your body healthier. And, you know, I find, you know, just we're talking about similarities and finding ways, and we got to the squat. You know, I think that's where the squat is being taught wrong these days, or it's not looked at deeply enough when people are squatting, and there's all that front loaded pressure on the knees. And, you know, where's your power come from? It's your hips.
Yeah.
So why are we front loading on the knees to shoot this power?
Well, it's very similar to the other day when I was training at your studio, maybe a couple weeks ago, and I was pushing the sled with some plates on it, like football players do, and I was leaning forward.
Head first.
I was going head first and shoulders forward, but from your football experience, obviously there's a better, more efficient way to do that.
Well, look, I'll relate it to something that you're more similar to is wrestling, or not necessarily wrestling, but jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And maybe jiu-jitsu, it's more so of the takedown and nothing else. I'm not a jiu-jitsu grappler. I understand concepts of it. But I did wrestle for a little while, and I played football for a little while, and I played many different sports. But when you're attacking a person to take them down, so it's nothing like pulling guard. You're actually physically going forward and moving forward. You know, you're told to grab onto a leg and keep your head nice and tight to the body. And always keep your spine nice and tall so you can drive through your opponent to pick them up, getting your lower body base and power. The simplest thing I can think of for somebody to relate to is if you look at a gorilla. Go watch a gorilla video right now on YouTube. A gorilla will never bend his back. You know, you can never get a gorilla to bend over with his back. They're very useful. They're always sitting up tall. Their reaction times are fantastic. And if you think of power, how can I have power? My head is forward, my shoulders are extended, and my upper body weight is surpassed my knees and toes. My power should be right underneath me. So if I'm tall chested, spine is erect, and I'm pushing through my hips in an upward motion, and my head is forward, I can foresee what I'm about to hit, what I'm about to do, and whatever might be your obstacle. You're gonna have the visual of more power and the physical aspect of more
Sure.
power, so that you can engage everything driving through.
With hips power, two things that I've done that I feel that have really helped create explosiveness is kettlebell swings for sure. Heavy kettlebell swings with getting to high repetitions.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely helped my hip power. That forward thrusting motion.
Yeah.
And box jumps.
Big time.
Like get on a box jump and challenge yourselves. Like the best way that I found at first is to get fucking dental floss or a piece of string because there's no consequences.
Yeah.
And put it across somewhere.
Yeah.
And just start hopping over it laterally and forward.
Yep.
From a stopping position with no run up.
Yeah. Nothing there.
No, and with doing those two things, now I just hit a box. But you can take it to the next level where you're wearing a weighted vest and then you're hitting a box. You can mix it up how many times.
Of course,
you but that explosion that you're getting from that you're training, that's really helped me.
Yeah, it's the coiling of the hips and firing through the hips and the glutes and the quads, so forth. Anything can be as simple or as hard, like you said, using a string. I mean, everybody's got a step outside of their home, inside their home.
Yeah.
Even that 1.5 inch riser from your sliding door or things along those lines, that's a jump. It's a movement. And the biggest thing is, don't forget that your hips are the strongest part of your body, but they're also the part that get neglected the most when it comes to loading in any sort of power movements. I'm just speaking of experience, and I've been in the fitness industry for about 15 years now, and a lot of people like to lock their knees out and lock their hips out because they think that that's normal.
Like in a deadlift position, like that?
Well, I just mean in general, when people are in a jump position, they're about to jump. Most people, I'm standing up at this moment.
Yeah.
Most people will not load their hips and sit down.
Okay.
They'll just kind of lean forward and like kind of drop and try to jump up.
Okay.
Right? They'll kind of bend the knees, but not really sit in the hip cradle.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it. If I've just bent my knees, my body weight's going forward. Right? So I'm going to bend my knees, my body weight goes forward. I can get a forward push, but I can't get any real power for distance. So now if I drop my hips back as I'm in my forward flying position, now I've got so much more power to get distance and height at the same time. So it's teaching that person to, sure, bend the knees, but after your knees are bent, don't drop any further. Bring your butt back and your hips back, reaching depth, and then sit down deep through that, which is now also bringing those knees behind the toes. And it's allowing you to now load your hips so that when you are coming forward and up, you've got something to push through, giving you way more force of power, allowing you to just to torque through that.
Sick, man.
Does that make sense? I know that I've
that's
stood
a lot
up.
of information. That's almost like
it's a verbal.
That's a YouTube video that needs to happen.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Let's take it back because like I met you as a personal trainer. It was weird because when I was like, I'm gonna do an introduction to this podcast after we're done.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to define you as that because there's so much more to what you do. It's like it's weird to find a term, but the term really doesn't matter. But it's just I want to know what your background was before I met you.
So to give you a quick version of my life, or where this passion came from. I'm Italian descent. Lived in Italy. Came down to Canada, but Italian family. Pastas and heavy, heavy carbs, and I love it. I have nothing. I've no hate against it, but I did hate the part that his big belly came with it. But being able to work through being someone who's overweight and finding sports and finding inspiration in other people and things along those lines really allowed me to adapt and learn so much and allow me to be such an elite trainer that I am. If it wasn't for my experiences in wrestling, football, playing badminton, rock climbing, taking massage therapy, really truly understanding the human body and how it's broken down. I mean, one of my favorite things to recall in my life is being in massage school and going for a cadaver study And literally being there in the morgue at the university and being able to like lift each muscle there and be like, whoa, that's where that is. And that's what it looks like. But, you know, I mean, obviously it's deflated, but it's the concept of going, now when I walk in the room and I see a human body, I can actually see the layers of muscles and how they lay. So when my clients look at me and they say, hey, I want this, or I have this pain, and we go, okay, I can look at it. I get excited, obviously. And I look at it and I go, okay, well, look, this pain comes possibly from referred to this because you sit like this or whatever it might be. But that excitement is really one of my favorite parts about my job, is being able to, you know, have all those years of experience, being able to understand the human body on that concept, that when people come in, I kind of get to be a home renovator.
Exactly.
Right. Everybody, you know, gets their what do they call them? Having a brain fart at the moment. Your interior decorator to come in when they're getting a new home. Well, you know, I'm basically an exterior decorator.
Exterior decorator, yeah.
For your physical self.
The funny thing is, though, is that they're interrelated, because if you're working on your outside,
you're working on the inside. Of course,
right?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so.
But so yeah, I've got I played variety of sports. Playing all these sports, or playing football, actually, was where I had some of my injuries. I had my kneecap dislocated, obviously a couple concussions, things along those lines. But always the passion to play the sport at the highest level was there. So finding myself injured, you know, I found passion for physiotherapy, massage, personal training, even because I was in the gym for so many hours. I mean, I literally am a gym rat, and I'm okay with it, you know, and it's completely fine. It might not be the cleanest place all week to be in, but God, it's great. You feel great in there. You know, you really get to push yourself. It's a great place to build confidence. You know, it's a place where some things can happen. You can get hurt if you're doing them wrong, but you know, it really is a place for anyone and everyone to build confidence. And I say that again, it's a great place to build confidence, because you do get to push yourself to that level. And every time you go in, the things you didn't think you could do, and then you do it and you accomplish it. And it makes you feel that much better, that you might not see it, but everybody else around you does. And you get the shine to you that is very addictive.
Absolutely.
So keep always going back, always something else as a story. So yeah, I just found this love for the human body and just how it worked. And I kind of said, you know, while I'm recovering from injuries and while I'm trying to be this athlete, why don't I just stick in this industry and, you know, train people, because I'm in the gym all the time anyways.
Yeah.
And if I'm, you know, if they get hurt, that's where the massage therapy came, and I figured, God, I could fix them. And, you know, I played some sports at a junior level. I kept going for my dream, and you know, I've moved to different provinces in Canada, doing my work from, you know, Alberta, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and now British Columbia, to where, you know, I've had I moved to Italy in 2005 and had a great time there. I was an amateur kickboxer and won a couple tournaments and learned a lot about kickboxing. I have a wrestling background in high school, and, you know, having all these different sports backgrounds and always competing against myself and others. So having the team sport, having the self-awareness of myself and pushing myself on the, you know, let's call them alone sports, or the single person individual sports like wrestling and kickboxing. But, you know, on the field, as much as it's teamwork, you still have to put out the work.
Sure.
You know, when I played football, I was a right guard, and, you know, it's teamwork. But I mean, if I wanted to get lazy for a second, that guy was going to blow through me and possibly get hurt. My quarterback, which is a friend of mine. I mean, I'm not going to let somebody get hurt on my team who's my family. Yeah. It's the same when I was kickboxing. You know, I mean, the tournament was, or wrestling, you know, the tournament was solo. But if one of your guys or girls, you know, got hurt, I mean, these people you're training with, you care about them. They become part of your family. You know, it's like us training. Yeah. You know, as soon as one of us maybe takes a hit too hard, or one of us is sparring with somebody else, and they go, hey, you know, it's like, it's a care that we have for each other. It's a mutual respect.
Yeah. And I think that people, like, it's weird because it seems like with what we do, there's potential obviously for people to get hurt, and there's ego involved. So when you're going to a gym and you're sparring with someone, like for me, what I'm thinking is I'm gonna show you your weaknesses. You're gonna show me my weaknesses, and the goal is to stay healthy and help each other.
But you know what,
out.
man? That translates the same in the gym, though. That translates the same in the gym. How many people go to the gym and they're imitating what they're seeing, and and then they maybe see something on TV, or I guess not TV any longer, or it would be like, or magazines, I guess it'd be YouTube. You know, they see something on YouTube, or I guess still something in a magazine, and or something that a friend is doing, or something that some guy who's really buff, or some girl who's really fit is doing, but they're doing it completely wrong, or have no idea of that. You know, it's the same thing. You know, I go into the gym trying to teach somebody all the bad habits that have been overlooked.
Sure.
You know, being a fitness coach means a lot to me, in the sense that when a person comes to me, it's a mental and physical new being that I get to help on their journey to becoming whatever they want. It could be one of my athletes. It could be one of my my older male or female clients. It could be one of my younger clients. It wouldn't matter. It's still a mental or physical battle that we are trying to fight, and that's the beauty. That's the best part, is going, okay, look, I can first of all understand and commit to myself that I know I'm doing something that is probably not appropriate, or not necessarily appropriate, but not necessarily right, is what I mean to say. And now that I've accepted that I'm doing something wrong now, or just not as efficient, yeah, what am I willing to open my ears and eyes and see how to really do this technique properly?
Sure.
And that goes through anything. That goes through a bicep curl, that goes from throwing a jab, that goes from putting somebody in chokeholds and taking somebody down, that goes from, God, I mean, taking anything you can think of.
Sure. That kind of goes to like an approach to learning almost.
For sure,
You know?
for sure.
It's funny. I was watching this YouTube video. I'll send it to you after. Do you know who Josh Waitskin is?
I don't.
He's like he's like a chess master. And he's
Name dropping right now. Love it.
Exactly.
Name drop.
Name drop. I don't even know him, so I'm not. But he's a chess master, and he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Makes
And
sense.
he did yeah, he did a thing with Tim Ferriss, and he was teaching Tim Ferriss how to play chess.
Yeah.
And
Used it as jiu-jitsu.
yeah,
Analogies
exactly.
of jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
That's great.
But what he did was his first step was deconstruction. So like there's so many pieces to jiu-jitsu as there is chess. So instead of having all the pieces on the board, he started with no pieces on the board.
And brought them in individually.
And then brought them in one by one. And then he said, this does this, this does this does this. So they played like 3-on-3 chess. And then then they went to, all right, so Tim Ferriss wants to learn jiu-jitsu, but instead of learning guard and all the positions, top control, all the chokes, he spent like a week just learning guillotine chokes, the Marcellatine, Marcelo Garcia's choke. So he spent a week just learning one choke. And like, so if you landed in my guard, he'd know how to do it from the bottom. If he was ended up on top,
of course,
he'd know how to do it where
he mastered that one position each week.
Yeah, exactly. And he his learning accelerated because he wasn't brought in with so many details. So I'm trying to take that approach now with what I'm doing with I don't even want to call it jiu-jitsu, because what I'm doing is bigger than that. I feel I don't want to be limited to one thing.
Of course, you're just like martial arts training.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people focus strictly, on, look, I love martial arts, and I think that martial arts is a fantastic. I think martial arts is in general, both all of it together is fantastic to learn for that empowerment and that confidence. I think knowing individual things is great, but I also think you should learn more than one martial art. I think to close yourself off and just call yourself a master of one thing, I'm happy that anybody can master the one thing. I'm not putting anything aside.
Sure.
But I think you could probably grow more as a master of one martial art if you learn two. Because if I learn to adapt my one martial art into another martial art, and I can mix those martial arts together, I can understand the adaptation of that martial art to now create possibly a whole new move to that.
Exactly, and it's just different rules.
I mean,
everything
that's
everything under the movement umbrella and it's just different rules. Depends what rules you're playing.
I mean, that's Bruce Lee, right? I mean, Bruce Lee took Wing Chun, and changed it and added things that he taught that he learned from Muhammad Ali, weight training that he learned from modern day bodybuilding. Arnold Schwarzenegger, what's up? Just name dropping. Don't know him. I've met him as in I've seen him and yelled at him, but I mean, how many people have done that? So many. Sure. But yeah. Sorry.
I'm just talking about learning things. And
Yeah.
If you were like, it goes back to the way that you were teaching when
Yes.
I recognized. I don't know. Did we even talk about that on the podcast, or was that outside before? I don't even remember. When we were chilling in my middle of the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, this beautiful view.
Right?
If you guys have never been to Vancouver, I know this is totally going off set, but please check out Vancouver. It's a beautiful place.
Check out my hood.
Yeah, Jericho. We won't give you an address.
No, we won't.
We won't give you an address. But look, when it comes to learning and teaching, they're very much the same. You have to, everybody, we all learn and teach differently. You learn differently than I would. You teach a little different than I do. But we have the same structure of knowledge to teach. So at the end of the day, 90-degree angle is the angle of any weightlifting movement. And at least when it comes to a push-up, a pull-up, a squat, a leg extension, a leg curl, a shoulder press, a bicep curl, a tricep extension, it's 90 degrees, right? So however you want to manipulate a weight, or you're using your own body, using a towel, the degree to get is 90 degrees. That is perfect. If your shoulders are too far forward, your elbows too far forward, or too far back, what are you getting? Not 90. So where's the pressure going? Somewhere on the joint. Is it a muscular workout or a joint workout? Well, for some people, the only way that you can work a joint is by lighting it and smoking it. Okay? Anything else is just joint pain.
True story.
Right? So, I when it comes to teaching, I try to find a common ground. I try to see how the person can learn the best.
Yeah.
I'm very visual, man. I can't just read the book and learn it. I have to read it. I have to find something common to realize what it is. Then I have to ask myself a question, and I have to write it down, and really a process to understand it. Yeah. But I truly understand it then, or I mean, obviously I'm really good at monkey see, monkey do when it comes to technical aspects. But I think there are so many different ways of learning, and there's also many different ways of teaching. Yeah. So trying to find that comfort, and you know what, I'll be honest with you, when I have that person that I just don't know how to get through them, it's really simple. I'll just put you where I need you to be. If I need you in the perfect squat position, I'm just going to put you in the position I need to. Yeah. I'm going to allow you to feel what that's like. I'm going to put you in the perfect push-up, and then we're going to slowly guide you through it step by step so that you have an understanding of what's firing, why it's firing, and why you're doing the exercise. And that's the biggest thing. You know, I get a lot of questions about, you know, how do I train this? How do I train that? What do you think the best workout is? It really is individualized, guys. Like, yes, you know, for bulk it's this, for cutting it's this, but it really becomes individual because you have a structure to your body. So depending what you actually want to look like. So do you want to look like the figure model? Do you want to look like a softer version because you don't want to be as muscular? Do you want to be not that at all and you want to just be huge? Do you want to be a smaller, runner type? Do you want to, you know, like we're all different, and because we all have these different body shapes, right? No, they're not so different. There's three of them. Let's not go that far.
Are you saying I'm never going to be a 6'2" black guy?
Yes, I'm saying you're never going to be a 6'2" black guy. But what part of that 6'2" black guy do you like? Do you like his quads? Do you like his pecs? Do you like his arms? Right? I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there.
Give me everything, damn it.
Right?
Give me everything.
Yeah, right. And I can only help with most of those parts. But you know, we can develop that muscle to the maturity, to the muscularity, to the dense, to the thickness, whatever you choose for your body structure. So me giving you the same workout that I would give somebody at a different body type would not work. So, you know, it really, you guys are all individuals. Yes, if you are of the same body type, it's much easier to work. I can understand that. But as an individual, do you have the same heart? Are you willing to make the sacrifice? And it really comes down to that.
Yeah.
You know, when I train clients, I do turn clients down. I know that sounds probably rude and whatever, but look, man, if you're not willing to put in the work yourself, I'm not going to be there to hold your hand. I was somebody who had a weight problem. Nobody held my hand. We all have life issues, man. We have life problems, but I still had to get up and go. I still have to do it every day. You know, I mean, I've gone through some rough injuries in the last 3 years, and I've still somehow managed to make a business work. I've still managed to not be overweight. You know, I've got a bit of a dad bod these days. Leave me alone. But there's not. I mean, it's not. There's nothing to do about it. I have medical issues at the moment that are holding me back. But it doesn't mean that it's ever stopping me. You see me hitting pads. You see me sitting the speed bag. You'll see me riding the assault cycle.
I see all this shit.
You know, I mean, I'm as active as I can be for somebody who has the injuries that I do. But I'll never be stopped, and I'll never be told that I won't, or I can't. And I'm sure I know all these things are from my personal self and all these experiences that I've had, and that's what I pass on to my clients. But you also have to have that internal want. Dude, you could be 400 pounds, you could be 100 pounds. I don't care what your physicality is, as long as you have some heart and you say, I want to do this. But you got to show up to do it if you want it, right? If you don't want it, then don't bug me.
People want it, they don't want to work for it.
Well, that's too bad.
Do you want to talk about your injuries?
Injuries. At the moment, just to give you a quick recap, 3 years ago I went through a motorcycle accident, and last year I was assaulted, surprise assault from behind, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Last year,
was it New Year's?
It was New Year's, on New Year's night. On New Year's night.
Yeah.
So out of those two events, the injuries are broken collarbone in half, reconstructive surgery. I have a titanium plate in my left collarbone. I then have two blood clots. One that was taken out of my brachial artery, and then one that is still currently there, which is basically a dead artery at the moment, which is just coming off of my main artery from my heart, which is made my arm about 1.5 inches smaller, so lots of atrophy. Anytime it's cold or anytime I touch anything cold, my fingers will basically go numb, dead, white.
I remember the one time we were sparring and you took off your glove and you like touched my face with your hand, and it was like a freezer was on my face.
Yeah. And that's the left side of the body. And the right side of the body, I had my ankle broken completely off and had reconstructive surgery on that. So now we have, nerve endings and also another 1.5 to 2 inches of muscle atrophy. I'm at the end of the day, those are all injuries, and the concussions, the eyesight, the broken teeth, the lack of memory, the hearing. You know what? They're injuries, but I'm here and I'm trying to make my business thrive, and I'm pushing forward. And they're just things. At the end of the day, you still got to get up. You still got to go through it every day. If I sat around and waited for insurance or things to come through, I'd be living on the street, man. If I didn't have that internal will to want something out of life, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm happy where I am today.
Me too, man. What about for people that don't have that? Like, have you been at a point where you didn't have that?
Yeah, man. I didn't know what depression was until depression hit me. I used to it's crazy. I truly didn't understand depression. I truly didn't understand having panic attacks. And I went through part of my life where it happened. I lost the business at one part and then had this injuries. And, I used to have people come in like, oh, I'm depressed. Or I used to see it and I'm like, how are you depressed?
Yeah, suck it up.
Suck it up.
Yeah.
And that's one of my gimmicks, one of my jams. Suck it up, princess. Or NDF, too fit to quit.
Is that domain name still available?
Yeah. Get off me. Sorry, now you made me laugh and I completely forgot what we're talking about. It's injuries, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
For the people who don't have that I guess internal spark,
yeah,
you really have to look at yourself and ask, what do you mean you don't have the internal spark? Look, you're alive today. Why are you alive today? Well, you did something about it. You can't tell me that you've been freaking zooed your whole life. You know what that means? That means that somebody freaking feeds you out of your hands and basically takes care of your poop and washes you. There's no way you're living the zoo life. If you're living the zoo life, then I mean, I don't know. To each his own. But if you've done a half of something for yourself, that's what you need to reflect on. Why are you doing what you're doing? Look back at your life and really go, okay, well, what did I do? What did I accomplish? What did I work towards? Even if there's something small. Hey, man, at one point in your life, you learned to ride a bike. At one point in your life, you learned to do something else to possibly teach something. Reflect back on those and go, why did you do that? How did it make you feel? Well, do you not want that again? Because at the end of the day, if you put yourself out and you put yourself down, you are done. You are out. And then what? Then what is really like? If you want the North American dream, if you're looking at life on the social media end or the marketing end of it, and you see, oh my God, I see this glamour, I see this, I see that. Yeah. The only way to get there is work, and it's hard work. And I mean, some of us have to work a little harder than others, but it's that internal passion. It's not just going to go away. You're not just going to have success by sitting there and hoping on success. Success comes with work. Somebody's got to put something into it. I don't want to hear the stories of, well, this person's, I don't care. I'm just saying, in general, you got to put work to get something out there. And to want dreams, you need to go and push yourself to get them. Because no one's going to hand you a dream. And if they hand you a dream, how long can your dream last? Yeah. You know, there's an old saying, which I'm going to fuck up. But, you know, you can give a man a fish or you can teach a man to fish. Basically, you know, I can give you a fish and you can eat for today, or I can teach you to fish and you can eat for the rest of your life. So you have a purpose. We all have a purpose. We are not here just to be a robot and look at television and our cell phones and social media. Look, man, we used to fight in the fields. We used to work to eat. Now we, you know, find success in other ways or on social media or whatever it may be. But like, you still got to go out there and do something. That's why I say in the gym, it's a healthy place to find confidence. So if you're somebody that needs something, get yourself in the gym. And if, you know, find yourself a good trainer, find yourself a good team of people. As much as I bash a certain fitness group, and I don't bash them because of anything more so than the results of some of the pain that they do to certain people. I'm not going to say the name. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, and that's just a matter of, like, lack of the love of what you do, man. I love what I do to the point I don't want to hurt the people in front of me. Because these are people that take care of me. I take care of them in every way, you know. I mean, we become friends. They financially help me out. I mean, this is a reality. I mean, we all have jobs. You could be a janitor, and you could love or hate your job, but you're still gonna get paid. We all have jobs. I'm a fitness coach. You know, there's not every day that's going to be a great day, but I go out there and do the best that I can on each day. And, you know, sometimes I might have a conflict with one of my clients because they're not wanting to do it or whatever, but we still have to find a common ground, push through there and work. Yeah. Right. And, you know, it's important to have that relationship and in any job though, right? Any job you have, from being a clerk at McDonald's to, you know, running a corporate office, being your own boss, you have to learn to adapt and work with people and learn to want more. I mean, look, even if you're at that McDonald's job, it doesn't matter how long you've been at that McDonald's job, 1 year, 2 or 3 years. The idea is though that there's growth, right? So if you've been there for 1 year or 2 years, unless you're really just a space case, the company will move you up, right? So that will show you, that's teaching you that you're worth something. There's something more to you than just somebody ringing a till. You know, now you've moved up to assistant manager and so forth and whatnot. Time will do that. What is that time? That time is work, right? You had to put in the time to get somewhere. So that's, you know, for people who don't have that, oh, I don't know if I could push myself. Well, if you look back at some of the things you've done, you've had to push yourself. So go back into that memory box and really just focus on yourself and the things you need to do.
So find a time when you had victories.
That's right. That's a much better way of saying it than what I did.
Recall a time when you felt proud of yourself. Because I think, like, a lot of people look for fulfillment through extrinsic sources.
Sure. Yeah. But that's not their fault, man. That's a media society thing going, look, you have to, if you're accepted because of this, or like they feel they almost need to like attach themselves to something or something that they can like want to relate to, not necessarily have a relation to, but want to relate to.
Like how?
So like I can't achieve that greatness because The Rock. Look, let's just say that I want the Rock's lifestyle. All right, anybody who's a rock star, a movie star, you name it, man. Whoever you're the person that you're looking up to that is probably somebody who's got way more money than you do. Or is like a movie star, a pop star. Like, man, I used to look up to not that I don't anymore. I still respect these men. I still look up to them. But like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, look at what he's done, man. Talk about the North American dream. That guy's more American than Americans. He really is, man. Look at what he's done for the country. Look at the respect that he gets. Look at what he's really done. Put the bullshit aside.
Didn't he bang his housewife?
Put the bullshit aside, man. Look, you can get mad at me all you like, okay? But I'm just saying, look at a man who is an immigrant to this country. Hey, man, maybe it's because I'm an immigrant, so I feel for the guy.
Is that why maybe you relate to him?
It's possibly why I relate to him,
Okay.
right? It's the same thing. Like, I look at a guy who, obviously, I don't know, he was never a fat kid, but I was. But I looked at him and I was like, look at this mammoth of a man,
superhero.
right? Like, look at him. And then, you learn a lot more about them and what they do and what they stand for and who they are as people. Once again, put the bullshit aside, please. There's negatives to everything in life, okay? Sure. That's just how it's going to be. But look, man, you can find positives and negatives about Hitler. You can yell at me, you can say whatever the hell you want at this point. But man, there's no way that the man who was in Time magazine didn't have good fucking points. Yeah. Like, everything has a positive, everything has a negative. What are we willing to work through? And what are we willing to understand? Yeah. So it's just being humans and, okay, well, look, there is good and bad, but what has he actually done? So you show me another American who's as straight gunner like freaking Arnold is, that's done as much, that's gotten as much respect, that's gotten as much notoriety. Please tell me who's done as much in politics. Yeah. I mean, I don't know of any, but maybe I don't know politics enough, and that's probably why I can't tell you. But if there's an American who's put out as much work, I mean, how do you not see him as an American? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. He's doing exactly what he set out to do, and that's anybody's dream. He can't, I mean, hey man, you don't have to come from a foreign country. You just have to come, as in like, come to your senses, come to life, yeah. Wake up, and be like, I'm here. What is it that I want? So what is it do I really want? Be present. Yeah.
So like, say like there's someone that's like working a shitty fucking job, and like it's like pulling teeth just to sit there, and they're out of shape, or they just like. They've lost that feeling of being alive.
Yeah.
And there's a mental sickness that goes along with that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, I don't want to write those people off.
I don't want to look, man. I don't want to write anybody off. There's.
What would you say to someone like that who's like?
Look, the biggest thing I can say to anybody who's got, is believe in yourself. Okay. Believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the person that's going to be there. Imagine that it was the end of the world, okay? It was the end of the world and you're stuck in whatever room you're in. What are you going to do? Just put yourself in that scenario for me. What are you going to do? I don't care what mental disease you have, but like, are you going to just stay there? Because if you're thinking that you're going to just stay there and be saved, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So now that you realize and you wake up and you go, okay, I'm going to have to do something about it. Now, the second thing you do is, obviously, sometimes you're not going to have anybody there. But the second thing you can do, there's always outlets, guys. So if you have a mental issue, if you're, maybe you're in an abusive relationship of some sort, it doesn't matter. There's outlets, man. There's people to call. There's centers. There's always big brothers, big sisters. There's always programs and people and volunteer centers where people are willing to share their time with you to talk you through things. So finding, I guess the second thought, or B, would be, finding and surrounding yourself with the people that you need and also want to be. So not necessarily want to be around, but the people you want to be. So, if you have a disorder, or not necessarily a disorder, I'm sorry, but like if you have a sickness, or if you you want to be a bodybuilder, you should probably start hanging out with bodybuilders.
Yeah.
If you want to be a jiu-jitsu practitioner, you probably start hanging out with jiu-jitsu players at the highest level so you can learn from those highest player levels. If I want to become a business mogul, I should probably start to hang around some pretty big business names or moguls themselves. So if there's a problem, I mean, try to find those solutions and try to put yourself around those people.
Yeah, that's good, man. For me, like, one thing that's helped me out when I'm in a bad place mentally, like where you just don't have any energy and you're dealing with an immense amount of stress and whatever your situation may be, is just being defiant and kind of doing the exact opposite of how you feel. So like sometimes you just want to sleep and lay in bed all day, but you can be defiant and not listen to that, and you can start building awareness that you don't have to listen to your thoughts. And then when I started to do that, I felt like I came from a more powerful place, because then I had choices to make. It's either I'm gonna lie in bed because I feel like lying in bed all day, or I'm just gonna get up and start moving and do the exact opposite.
Yep.
And then it's not gonna work right away, but I find like the power of momentum goes along with that. Because like you can get addicted to jerking off 12 times, or you can get addicted to going running at 1 a.m. in the morning blasting Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
From experience.
I was about to say. Isn't that what you were doing last night?
Like a couple nights ago.
Exactly, man. Right? Running with the wolves.
No,
this guy runs with wolves, bro. This guy runs with wolves.
You know what it was, man? I listened to Rough Riders anthem.
Rough Riders.
I don't know why, and I'm like, motherfucker, like, put on his shoes. Next thing you know, I'm running, like, I ran from here.
Hey man, I bet you was the ending. Talk is cheap, motherfucker. Fuck that shit, I'm going for a run.
Exactly.
Fucking inspiration right there.
Exactly. But people don't realize that I think obsession's a good thing. I think obsession gets a horrible rap.
Totally does.
I think if you're obsessed with doing things in your best health and interest at all times, that's a beautiful place to be. That's like the epitome of self-love.
That's right.
And I think that, like people can get obsessed playing video games because there's mental rewards that come with that, like beating levels and teamwork or whatever, some shit.
Yeah.
But those are like, those aren't real, man. Those are like tricking your brain. Or like, if you're a fat fuck, you can get off your couch and start moving. Like, and start from there.
What he really means there, if you're a fat fuck, if you're a lazy ass fat fuck who really is complaining about everything. Now, I'm supposed to be really nice there and say, if you've got some physical issue. No, man, look, if you're lazy and it's your fault, you're a fucking lazy fat fuck. Okay, there's a reason why you have a dad bod. Okay, and it's not because you're too busy. Man, look, I can give you a 15-minute workout for 3 to 5 days a week. What's 15 minutes of your day? Really? What is 15 minutes, man? You sleep for 8. Okay, let's call 75% of the population sleeps for 8 hours, jerks off for 3 of them, is on their phone for what? Another 4. How many hours are left? Let's fill those in with eating, shitting, and farting. And you're telling me you can't find 15 minutes to give yourself some better self-awareness, some better self-love, giving yourself an ability to want more out of life? Well, if that's what you're feeling, then you're probably a fat fuck. So listen to this podcast and go do something about it.
What I've been realizing is my mentality of anytime, anywhere as well. That's why I keep home equipment around at all times. I wanted at one point to go over like some essential home equipment if you were to have some at home with you on maybe another podcast, because that's like another huge subject. But like I keep things around me, and I realized that a training session or a workout or whatever you want to call it, movement. It could be 15 minutes long, and you could be blasted, and you could have done the exact thing that your body needed. And like I've also been realizing that a lesson with you or anyone else that has been coaching me with Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu is that a lesson can literally happen in 2 minutes because of a concept that I understand now.
That's right.
So like if I can sit there and smash pads and do some strength and conditioning, which is gonna build repetition and adapting my body to where it needs to be. But there's also lessons that could be learned very quickly As far as like,
But
there's
that,
a reason to move this
yeah,
way or
but that's
counter
when,
like
but
this.
that's when you're actually mindful, right? So I mean, you can learn if you're mindful of it. You know, the difference is, look, man, doing cardiovascular and endurance, you know, training when it comes to, you know, or strength training, whatever it is that you're doing, cardiovascular, muscularly, those are all, if you are mindful, if you, which is what you should be in those movements, you should be very mindful not of trying to keep your breath up or trying to like, you should be mindful of the movement itself and what that movement is trying to deliver. The problem with most people working out is they're just doing reps, right? So like if I'm in my movement, let's just utilize bench press for a second, everybody. So if I'm doing bench press and I'm just pulling and pushing, am I forgetting that on the way down I should be retracting my shoulder blades, keeping my scaps nice and tight, making sure that my traps aren't rolled over, keeping my diaphragm nice and tall, taking an in breath so that I can come out with an exhale, contracting, releasing those scaps, contracting the pecs, pushing through the triceps, getting that breath through. What did I just learn there? That a bench press is not just chest.
Yeah.
Right? And now I'm going to take that and go over to pad work. You know, how many jabs can I throw? Well, I can throw a straight jab. I can throw a jab with a little bit of a turn. I mean, I can. There's so many ways to throw it. How many kicks is there? You know, there's so many ways to throw the kick. Is there one right or wrong? I mean, then it's if asking me if there's a right way to kick. I mean, if there's a if there's a wrong kick.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, every different martial arts throws a kick completely different. So are you trying to tell me that there's a difference? Or I mean, there's a better AK-47 or a Tommy gun or a machete, or when it comes to a weapon, these are weapons, right? It's how you use them and when you need to use them.
Exactly. My theory is the right technique is the one that works.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't matter if I hit a sloppy jab at you, and it puts you on your ass, and that works. So that was the right technique at that
exactly.
time. If
Exactly.
I threw a kick that wasn't a Muay Thai kick, it wasn't a Taekwondo kick, it wasn't a karate kick, it was some sloppy fucking soccer kick, but it snapped your leg, that was the right technique.
Yeah.
So the right technique is the one that works, and I think that, like for me, I'm studying everything broadly right now because I've done I've done a little bit of jiu-jitsu by itself. I've done a lot of Muay Thai by itself.
Yep.
And now I'm training broadly just with everything.
But sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, please.
Earlier we were talking about mastering one skill. You've mastered some skills, but don't you find yourself learning more once you adapt the one thing you mastered with another skill?
Absolutely.
Right, and you're like, wow. It's not like you find a hole in your skill that you know so well, but you're like, wow, I can now add this to my skill. So when I think of this, I see this field reaction. I could probably do this if I was just in a straight this martial art fight.
Sure.
Because now I've got 3 new martial arts that I learned from, and it could be anything. Like I'll give you an example. You can go Muay Thai, American boxing, and traditional judo, which is throws and ground game. Let's not forget, traditional judo is ground game. That's where obviously jiu-jitsu came from.
Oh, dude,
The reason that I say that is because some people don't know. So if you take those three martial arts and you integrate them together, if you know all those 3 really well, you'd realize that your game on all those 3, if you were to go back and just practice one, would be that much better because you've put yourself in different scenarios. The way that your hips move from boxing comparatively to Muay Thai. Also, when you're in tight and judo, now you can go, oh shoot, I have this infighting that I could do that I could never do before.
Sure.
Right? So now you're going, oh my god, I can adapt these martial art moves of different martial arts into that one still skill and increase yourself and your knowledge of that one skill.
Absolutely. And that's why for me, when I'm training, I've removed all the styles. I just don't even use the words anymore. It's because when people ask what I'm training, it depends. Mostly because I have a real job as well, or I'd be training all day, every day, different things.
That's right.
Right? Because
did you hear that, people? A real job. This shit is not easy. You can't just think that, I love training, okay? But you really have to focus. And look, man, if you have the ability to train all day, every day, and only focus on that, God, how'd you get there? How'd you get there, man?
You tell us, motherfuckers.
Because look, man, I have my own facility, my own private training studio, and it's not that I don't have the ability to train every day. There's bills to pay. If I don't train my clients, I can't go train. You know what I'm saying? So like training is great, but you do have to remember, there's that discipline part. You have to give something up to get something more, and that's what the MMA game is about. That's what martial arts is about. Is what are you willing to give to get that next level? What are you willing to, it's a matter of sacrifice, right?
People don't want to hear the truth, man.
Yeah, man. Like, look, if I'm in a jiu-jitsu match and there's two jiu-jitsu players and one's on top of each other and one's maybe trying an arm lock, an Americana on the one arm, but he's really just trying to take that attention away to go to something else. So you're giving something up to get something else. Now, let's say you're the guy on the ground and you're thinking, ha, sucker, I know you're going to do that. So what are you going to do? You're going to give him something to get something else, right? It's like, fine in boxing or any striking sport,
there's deception and misleading.
Exactly, you're gonna take a little jab so that you can come in and throw your cross. You're not gonna take a cross.
Well, that's one thing that you taught me is like for me, for a little bit I was focused on being elusive, which I'm obviously you want to look pretty at the end of the fight,
completely.
But also, if you can eat something to give something, and you got to weigh out that trade-off, right?
And I mean, I learned that when I was doing kickboxing, obviously Muay Thai too. Hey man, when a guy's throwing a kick at you, step in.
Yeah.
I mean, if look, I would rather get hit. Imagine a baseball bat. Okay, if somebody's swinging a baseball bat at you, would you want to get hit on what's coming at the end of that baseball, or would you want to get hit by where your wrists are?
Yeah.
Right, where his hands are gripping the bat. Think of the volume there. If you're getting hit with the part of his hands gripping, it's probably not going to hurt as much. And it's probably going to bend his hands and bend that bat in his hands. Now, just imagine the shin is the bat, the knee is the hands.
Yeah.
So now you're getting kicked. Step in. If your body gets hit by the knee's going to bend. Now there goes that kick, and you've stepped in, and there's a big right hand or a takedown, whatever you choose at that moment, right?
Sure.
So
and also,
give a little, take a little.
You could see it coming. Would you rather get hit with something you see coming or something that you don't see?
Exactly.
Right? And that's a huge difference as well. So, absolutely, give and take, right? You're there for conflict. That's
that's it. Wow. Yeah, man, conflict. Yeah, go ahead. Tell him you're there for.
Exactly, you're there for conflict, man. You're not like. It is just like if we're talking like mixed martial arts, I love everything about it, man, because I feel like you can learn. That's if you can put yourself through hell, it'll make your life so much easier.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety that can go with that as well, and also like. You learn so much. There's so many small details in it, and there's so much to turn. And everyone brings something different to the table.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah, everyone brings something different to the table, and like.
That's the beauty of the MMA, right? Mixed martial arts. Don't confuse yourself. MMA and UFC are two different things. Exactly. A lot of people think that MMA and the UFC are all the same. They are not, man. UFC is a great company that has allowed the mixed martial arts, MMA, mixed martial arts, to exist and really flourish. There's other companies out there. I'm not going to talk about them. You know who you are. And there's no disrespect, man. No disrespect, Bellator. There's no disrespect, 1FC. There's no disrespect, King of the Cage. There's no disrespect, World Series of Fighting. It's just, look, man, UFC is UFC, NFL's NFL, MLB is friggin' MLB, and that's what it's going to be, right? I mean...
But it is entertainment as well. There's people outside of that are extremely skilled, like Ben Askren.
Like I said, man, I said 1FC, didn't I? Right? I did not say 1FC. I said 1FC was out there. I said Bellator's out there. They're great companies. I'm just saying, look, for who's been able to push mixed martial arts, MMA people, has been the UFC.
Yeah.
Right? They were the first. They were really the ones, like, of course, look, there's Pride, there's Pancrase, all these guys, all these, don't get me wrong, without them, you wouldn't have the ability of the UFC, those guys, all those guys, Boss Rudens, they fought in those places. Yes, I'm name dropping Boss Ruden. I don't know Boss Ruden.
Have you seen his street fighting?
Yes, have you?
Dude,
just go watch Boss Ruden, please. People,
just
type in
Google it.
Boss Ruden if you don't know him. He's freaking hilarious. Super tough guy. Very knowledgeable.
Bang, bang.
Bang. And, He's very comical. Also, another guy that I looked up to, still look up to today. You know, like these are the people that I might not hang around, but I try to shape myself in what I see of them. And nowadays, it's really simple, or not simple, but it's so much easier to see who that person is. So before we got to see Boss Rutan as this killer, man, as this guy in the ring, and now you see him, he's making people laugh, and you get to really see him. You got Instagram, you get to see him with his family and all this stuff. Yes, I creep you up, Boss Rutan.
Boss Rutan fanboy,
right? Like, I'm just saying, like, you know, these are the people that I want to. I want to map myself out as a Joe Rogan. You know, like these are people that are successful. They're good-hearted. And people can hate on anybody, man. I don't care what experience you've had, but I've never had a bad experience with the people I've spoken about right now. I've never met them either. So, but I'm also not somebody who would be an annoying fan because I'm a fan of the individual and a fan of what they stand for. I'm not just a fan of Boss Rutan because he smashes people in the mouth. I'm not a fan of Joe Rogan because he's Mr. Fear Factor or UFC or whatever else, man. I like Joe Rogan because he tells you your opinion and he does it in a way where it's very straightforward and you're either wanting to understand it or you're not. So that's just how I'm not saying that's how he feels, but like he comes off as a guy like, look, man, this is what's up. Like, I'm just trying to give you information. If you want to take it as me fucking, fucking you over, whatever it may be, it's not just my information. It's the freedom of speech realistically. And I like the things that he says, and there's other people out there.
You don't have to agree with everyone, man.
No, not at all. But I mean, if you are gonna, if you're gonna follow or you don't have those people around you, make sure that you follow someone that maybe somebody that you want the characteristics of that you don't have yourself.
Yeah, emulate someone else.
Exactly.
Sick, man. I need to take a leak. Let's take a break.
Do it.
And can we come back for part 2? Or you still got time for part 2? You got time?
Always have time.
Sweet. Okay, cool, man.